unit conversion word problems. So like I said before, 3 main things. Just like last week, continuing that process of converting units perfectly without hesitation, without being nervous, without double guessing ourselves. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to figure out how to do this the perfect way every time. Number 2, converting square and cubic units. So again, this is an example that you might run into. About 1 in every 5 tries, I hear people say like, hey, I ran into something crazy like this. So we may as well go over it. That way, if you run into it, it's not going to be an inconvenience. It'll be a low-hanging fruit. A low-hanging fruit being a question that you can answer pretty easily, steal those points, and keep moving forward. And then lastly, how to avoid common mistakes in word problems. So again, word problems, that's why we're here. Arithmetic reasoning. If you have to pass the GT, if you have to get any sort of promotion, a lot of these different composite scores take arithmetic reasoning, word problem strategy. Got to know it. So let's go ahead and get started, my party people. Here we go. So main notes here. This is going to be different from last week because again, in case you didn't know already, I teach unit conversions in 2 main ways. One is the bigger, smaller method where you simply ask if you're converting from a bigger to a smaller unit. And that's a great way to start learning unit conversions if you are just beginning and you want to get something going. Now here, what I'm going to show you, this is the conversion rate method. So the conversion rate method, a lot of people who are used to fractions, a lot of people who are used to the idea of division, a lot of people who are used to the idea of canceling out, they really, really, really enjoy this method because the math it'll line up no matter what. You won't have to think about bigger to smaller. All you have to do is think about, hey, just try to cancel it. So let me go ahead and teach you this method, bring in the bigger, smaller method, and then I'm going to ask you guys which way you prefer. So here we go, my party people. Again, to convert from one unit to another, right over here, what we're going to do is our main notes for number 1 here, method number 1, multiply by the conversion rate. So the question really is, what's a conversion rate, right? So the thing is, a conversion rate is essentially what the conversion is for that specific problem. So there's a ton of conversion rates. So to give you an example, one right up here is 1 foot equals 12 inches. That is a conversion rate. So question, yes or no? Did we know that? 1 foot is 12 inches. Let's see. Seth and no. The only reason no is because I do that at cost. And so I'd be losing money, like giving away money if I did that. Okay, cool. So I'm glad that we know that. So let me show you how to apply this, everybody. The idea of a conversion rate, it basically is to cancel out the old unit and leave the new unit. So let me write this down for you. Everybody, please take a quick moment right over here. The main idea behind a conversion rate. So main idea, let me just write a line here, of conversion rates. I think this might be too thick. Let me go ahead and thin that out. So the main idea of conversion rates is this. Cancel out the old unit. Cancel out the old and leave the new unit. Okay, so I'll give you a second to write that down because once I teach this, once I show you a few examples, you'll see that the ingredients of this you've learned, like you've been through this before. It's gonna make quite a bit of sense. So I'm gonna wait a few more moments before I start asking some questions to really get your minds going on this. But 3, 2, and 1. At this point, take a screenshot of that if you need to. But I want to go ahead and just really start expressing what I mean here because I'm hoping that this is going to make a ton of sense once we get through at least maybe 5 or 6 examples. So everybody, quick question. If we have a fraction, and in this fraction, allegedly, we have the same thing on the top and the bottom, what happens? Alessa, that's correct. Foot and feet, it's the same way of saying foot. Feet is multiple feet. Foot is just 1 foot. Just one. Yeah. So yeah, again, if we exactly, if we have the same, so go back to the question here, if we have the same exact thing on the top and the bottom of a fraction, it cancels out. Okay. Okay. So let me then do this here. Let's go ahead and let's check this out real quick. Oh, and there's one more thing that I do want to go over before we get started here, just to make sure you understand where I'm coming from. At the same time, we need to know this about party people. Let's go ahead and say we have 3 times, and let's go ahead and say we have 2/3. Does this freak anybody out here? Does that freak anybody out? 3 times 2/3? A lot of no's we're seeing, but I see some people saying, yeah, it's a little bit. But I see a lot of no's, and I'm proud of seeing a lot of no's, but I'm glad that we're being honest. So here's what we're going to do real quick. There's one little thing that we have to know how it works for this to truly make sense. And you probably already know how this works, but I'm being safe. So here's the thing about multiplying by fractions, everybody. When you have, let's say, a whole number like 3 multiplied by 2/3, well, the thing is, when you're multiplying a whole number by a fraction, you can write that whole number as a fraction. Pop quiz question, everybody. Every whole number is the same thing as writing that whole number over what number? 3 is the same thing as 3 divided by what number? By 1, right? Yeah, so if I wanted to, I could just write this as 3/1. Everybody, quick question. Do you agree with me? 3 is the same thing as 3 divided by 1, because 3 divided by 1 is 3, right? So that should make a ton of sense. Nothing crazy. This is what I want to show you. When we multiply fractions, everybody, remember what we do is we multiply straight across. So everyone, quick question. What's 3 times 2? 3 times 2 is 6. Sounds great. And then 1 times 3 is what? 1 times 3 is 3. Thank you. And then now, what's that final thing we can do? We can simplify, right? That's what it's called. We can simplify. Yeah, so let's go ahead and simplify. Let me write that down right over here. Let's simplify. Let me make that just a little thinner. Let's simplify. And everybody, 6 and 3 are both divisible by what number again? Yeah, they're both divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is going to give us 2. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So let me just write that out over here. Divided by 3, divided by 3. And yeah, we end up getting 2/1, which everybody, 2/1 is the same thing as what again? Right, it's just the same thing as 2. Now, that was just a brief, small, short little exercise, just refreshing on just messing around with multiplying fractions, because the conversion rate has to do with a fraction. So I just want to make sure that we're prepared to understand how that worked out. But the main thing that I really wanted to show you was this. Everybody, do you remember how the original problem was 3 multiplied by 2/3? Does anybody here notice that if we see this, everybody, the 3 right over here, this 3 on the left, the whole number 3, is that 3 going to multiply with the top or the bottom? Is that 3 going to multiply at the top or the bottom? Yeah, it's going to be at the top. And then there's also a 3 on the bottom. So what does that mean? What that means is, well, if we wanted to, since we know this 3 is going to be on the top and this one's going to be on the bottom, we know that they're going to cancel out because they're multiplying. The whole number 3 times 2/3, you'll have a 3 up top being multiplied, a 3 on the bottom, and we can actually take a quick shortcut, and the answer would be 2. Did anybody here know that we could do that? So tell me if you knew it, tell me if you just learned it right now, or tell me if it's confusing. So again, knew it, just learned it right here, or still confused on it. Okay, no worries. So I see the majority of us are getting it okay. And if we are confused, no worries. The main idea is this. When you have the same thing on the top and the bottom, it cancels out. And that's where we had that 3 up top and 3 on the bottom. that converted it back to a 2. It canceled out. Now, long story short, let me just show you what's going on here. Let's take our attention all the way over here. The example that we're looking at here is convert 3 feet into inches. So let's get started here. So the conversion rate for this problem is 1 foot equals 12 inches. If you're sitting here ready to ask me, hey, coach, what about problems with ounces and pounds or seconds and minutes? Yes, those have their own conversion rates. 60 seconds is 1 minute, 16 ounces in a pound. So you'll have to memorize those. And I'm going to give you a list of everything that you need to know for today's class. But here's how to apply a conversion rate, starting off with feet and inches. So we are trying to go from 3 feet to however many inches, right? So let's understand what we're trying to accomplish, everybody. We're starting from feet, and we're trying to get 2 inches. What were those rules again? Oh, we want to cancel out the old and leave the new unit. Everyone, just like we said before, I warmed you up for this. This 3 feet right over here, is that going to be on the top or the bottom when it multiplies? Is that going to be on the top or the bottom when it multiplies? It's going to be on top, right? So if I wanted to cancel the feet so I could leave the inches, where would I want to put the 1 foot for that conversion rate? Where would I want to put that, on top or the bottom, to make sure that it cancels out? Where would I want to put it? Right, I would want to put it on the bottom if I'm trying to cancel it out, right? I could put the 1 foot right down here, because that means I'd have feet here, feet there, top and the bottom. And guess what happens when you have the same thing on top and the bottom? It's going to cancel out. Everybody, quick question. What should I put up top? What should I put up top? 12 inches. Right over here. So if you wanted to look at this in an alternate way, in a different way, in terms of how to convert units every single time, no matter what you're always going to be doing is you're basically going to multiply by the conversion rate, putting what you're trying to cancel out on the bottom and what you're trying to leave on top. Because guess what happens? Right here, boom. You got feet up top, feet on bottom, cancels out. And look at what you have now. Everybody, we're going to have 3 times 12. That's going to be in inches. And then we have that 1 still at the bottom, but that's not going to matter too much, is it? What's 3 times 12? Right, that's going to be 36 inches right there. That'll be 36 inches, nice and easy. And so if you're asking, they're not the same. Feet and foot are the same thing. It's like saying apples and apple. Apple just means one apple. Apples means more than one. It's just the plural version, but these are the same thing. It's like saying inch and inches, same unit. It's the same unit. If you didn't know that units can cancel out, they absolutely can. Absolutely can. Also, Alessa, we're talking about the units. Notice how the 3 and the 1 didn't cancel out. Just the unit, the foot canceled out. The numbers are still there. Yeah, the numbers are still there. You're good. That's a good question, though. That's a great question. You remember doing this in chemistry class? This is chemistry is probably the most common place that this would appear, actually, when it comes to converting units. So with that, essentially, look, this is what this method is called. It's just multiplying by conversion rate. And what you're doing is cancel the old to leave the new. So let's go ahead and go through a few more examples here to really get our gears going in the right way. So again, let's go ahead and go into this right over here. Let me just, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and convert 32 ounces to pounds. I'm going to give you the conversion rate right there, 1 pound to 16 ounces. Now, before I begin, question, everybody. Has anyone here ever had trouble when it comes to unit conversions? Even if you know the conversion rate. Yeah, I know that 1 pound is 16 ounces, but coach, I don't know when I'm supposed to multiply or when I'm supposed to divide. Has anyone here struggled with that? Right? That's a real question, especially if you've been in class last week. You may have been struggling, even though we may have tried to explain the bigger, smaller method. You still may be like, well, I'm still not quite sure. Here's another way to look at it. Everybody, what is the unit that we're trying to get rid of? What is the unit we're trying to get rid of here? We're trying to get rid of ounces. Everybody, if we're trying to get rid of the ounces, just take a look. The ounces right here, let me use a highlighter. The ounces right here, that's technically up top because you can write this as 32 ounces over 1. You could. So technically, the ounces that you have is up top. So if you're trying to get rid of it, where should I put those 16 ounces that make up a pound? Where should I put the 16 ounces? On the bottom right here or on top? So because see, look, you guys know how to cancel things out. So this method might work a little better for a lot of us. This method might make a lot more sense. So with that, let me go ahead here and write the 16 ounces right here on bottom. 16 ounces right here. Great. So notice how we're going to be able to cancel out those ounces nice and easy because we have ounces up top and bottom. Those ounces, the unit ounces, will cancel out. And what are we trying to replace ounces with? With pounds. And that's where this will come in. Notice how the ounces was up top, but now that it got canceled out, the pound, the unit for pounds will be left. We'll replace it. Yes or no, everybody? Do you see how that's happening? How we're canceling the old unit to bring in the new one. And don't worry, I'm going to show you the other method that we showed last week, the bigger, smaller method. And again, I'm going to ask you, hey, which way do you like using? Because we're going to be depending on both methods in today's class to see, hey, which one do you prefer? Which one are you faster with? And what can we do to make you solid at both? So again, even if you're starting today's class off thinking, hey, man, this might be a little tough. Remember, we have to make sure we go through the entire class because we're going to have those breakthrough moments that we're really going to be looking forward to. Oh, Aubrey, yeah. So the methods, yeah, there's at least 20 different ways you can get it done. I'm showing you based off of my 10 years of experience with a master's degree, the best way that can get you through the ASVAB specifically. So, yeah. So with that said, everybody, let's just check it out here. If you're asking, hey, coach, I don't know if I'm going to be multiplying or dividing, we'll take a look. This is a nice way to tell because the 32 ounces, or the 32 from the ounces and the 1 from the pound, those are going to multiply. Everybody, what's 32 times 1? Right? That's going to be 32. And then we still have that pound there. And then we have the 16 on the bottom still. So everybody, is that going to be division? Yeah, we can tell. We got 32 over 16. That has to be division. That has to be division. What's 32 divided by 16? Right, just by the way that you set it up. By the way that you set it up, then that's going to be it right there. So with that, cool. So we are set there. All right. 32 divided by 16 is going to give us 2. Sorry, I got distracted with some incident here. We're going to make sure that's going to be fine moving forward. But boom, there we are. So generally speaking, how much sense does this make on a scale of 1 to 10? With 10 being, I don't need practice. This makes sense. A 5 being, I'm starting to get it, but I want more practice. And a 1 being, I prefer the other method from last week, or I'm lost. All right, no worries. So make sure to log that. Make sure to look at your responses exactly right now. If you're confused, if you're feeling good, feeling great. However, my goal is going to be now to take you from where you are in terms of your understanding, solidify it just a little more, improve it, and then introduce that next method and then really drive things home. So let's get into the alternate method. So the alternate method, really quick. this is the alternate method that we showed last week. If you want to keep things simple, feel free to take a screenshot of this. And I'm going to go through about what this means. So if you were here last week or watched the recording, you were able to perhaps watch how I explain this, but I'm going to give you the shortened version of it. Essentially, here's the idea. If you're going to a smaller unit, well, you're going to go ahead and be multiplying by that number. If you're converting to a bigger unit, you are going to be dividing. So go ahead and write that down. All right, so go ahead and write that down. And for a brief moment, everybody, I'm going to have to go ahead and shut down the chat box because it looks like we have some bozo trying to change names to people that are in the chat, so I can't find them and kick them out. That happens every now and then. Some people have no lives. So with that, here's the main idea. Again, if you want to convert to a smaller unit, you're going to go ahead and multiply. If you want to convert to a bigger unit, you want to divide. And here's why. When you're multiplying or when you're going to a smaller unit, let's think about the example between feet and inches. Let me go ahead and bring this about here. So let's look at these two examples that we've done so far. 1 foot equals 12 inches. And then we also had the 1 pound equals 16 ounces. Let me just briefly explain how this works. So if you're taking a look at 1 foot equals 12 inches, think of it like this. 1 foot equals 12 inches. If I'm going from feet to inches, everybody, I'm going to open up the chat box for a brief moment, answer this question. If I'm going from feet to inches, is that bigger than feet or smaller than feet? So is 1 inch bigger than 1 foot or smaller than 1 foot? I'm going to open up the chat box here for a moment. Go ahead. Is 1 inch bigger or smaller than 1 foot? Right. Looks like all of us here are saying smaller, and that is true. So I'm going to shut the chat box down again for a brief moment, but think of it like this. Every 1 foot that you have, however long that may be, it's broken up. When you convert it, 1 foot breaks up into about 12 inches, exactly 12 inches. So think about it. To go from 1 big foot to the smaller inches, you multiply by 12 because for every foot that you have, you get 12 inches back. And now think about it going backwards. If I wanted to go from however many inches I have to see how many feet I got, think about it like this. Everybody, does it make sense to you that if I wanted to go from inches to feet, what I'm truly doing is I'm basically collecting and grouping, pay attention to that word, grouping. I'm grouping 12 inches at a time. And if I'm grouping 12 at a time, everybody, the word grouping is the same as what operation in math? Seeing how many groups we have. When you're seeing how many groups you have, that's division. So for example, if I have 12 inches, that's 1 group of 12. That's 1 foot. If I had 24 inches, that's 12 and 12. That's 2 groups of 12. Divide 24 by 12 to get 2 feet. So long story short, we're going to figure out which way you prefer and which way you're going to prefer to go ahead and practice with. So here's the second method. If you're going to, let me highlight this, to a smaller unit. To a smaller unit, you will multiply. If you're converting to a bigger unit, you will divide. Okay? That's the straightforward as I can make it. And it's up to you to understand that an inch is smaller than a foot is bigger than an inch. A yard is bigger than a foot. A mile is bigger than a yard. Like, you have to make sure that you understand the size differences. And Alessa, definitely well aware of that. I saw the person trying to do that dumb stuff, and hopefully they're bored and get out of here quickly. So with that said, and so that's how you would know there, Seth. You would have to know the size differences and the comparisons. If you're trying to turn feet into inches, you need to know that inches is smaller than feet. Because inches is smaller than feet, multiply. Because you're trying to go 2 inches. And so this is the next part that you need to know here. We're going to go through each of these, and I'm going to have you take screenshots of them. So starting off here, my party people, let's go ahead and take these screenshots. And this is something that I want you to have available with you the entire class. So let's start off with U.S. customary units, such as length, weight, capacity, and time. So have these screenshots taken. Go ahead. We're going to take a few moments because we're going to be referring to these all class long. I'm going to drop some hints with the practice that we'll be doing for sure. But remember that this is something that you absolutely have to have memorized before you take your test. So I'm going to open this up here. All right, perfect. And then hopefully the chance to take a screenshot there. We're going to move over to metric units for length, weight, and capacity. So basically centimeters, meters, millimeters, and kilometers, grams, kilograms, and then liters and kiloliters. Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. I got you. Yeah, I'd say it definitely is a tough time remembering all of these. But remember, if you're in our program in the Arithmetic Reasoning Math Bootcamp, when you go over to unit conversions, that should be one of the first 7 units. We actually have flashcards set up for all of it: time, distance, weight, capacity. It's all there. So you can go ahead and mess around with those and do the activities to just do it over and over and over again until it is second nature, until you do not ever second guess yourself on it. Yeah, in the same way that you don't question that 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah, you want to know these unit conversions in the same exact way. No hesitation. You know exactly how much of one is the other. Now, there's one thing that I want you to really notice here before we continue, everybody. When it comes to the length and weight and capacity, what do you guys notice about each of these conversion rates? What's something that you guys notice? What am I highlighting here? What do you guys notice? Right. They all start with 1. They all start with 1. Remember that when you are converting units, my party people, when you are converting units, what we're really talking about is this. We are really just talking about how much of this one unit makes up the other. How much of this unit makes up one of the other. So when you're asking, hey, man, how do I remember what numbers to multiply or divide by? Well, the great thing is for every comparison or conversion, there's one main number. The other number is always going to be 1. So that means 12 inches per 1 foot, 3 feet per 1 yard, 5,280 feet per 1 mile, 60 seconds per 1 minute, 60 minutes per 1 hour, 24 hours per 1 day. It goes like that throughout the whole time. Same thing for kilometers. Yeah, they do use kilometers on the ASVAB as well. Meters to kilometer conversions, millimeters as well. You'll want to know that too. The great thing about the metric system, our friends over in Europe and everywhere else in the world, they compare by thousands. So milli means 1,000, kilo means 1,000. So divide by 1,000, multiply by 1,000. But we're going to get into that in today's class. All right. So enough about this. I know some of us are getting bored. Originally Germany. So let's go ahead and dive into some practice here. You know I got to set you guys up the right way, but let's go ahead and do some guided warm-ups here. Let's start off with 60 inches. Let's find out how many feet that is. Let's go ahead and go through both methods here, everybody, both methods. Let's start off with the first method that we went through today, multiplying by the conversion rate. We are already given this as a hint right here. So let's use it the right way. Let's use it the right way here. So we have 60 inches. So here's the thing, everybody. Remember, the conversion rate, the idea, cancel out the old, leave the new. So if I have 60 inches, what am I going to put up top to convert this the right way? Right. I'm going to put 1, give me a word, 1 foot. I'm going to put 1 foot because I am trying to basically replace in the same spot where inches is with feet. So inches is currently up top. I want feet to be up top. 1 foot. And let me actually use a different color here. Let me use red. And then on the bottom, that means I'm going to have to put the 12 inches. And so bam, right there. Inches will be gone. The unit inches will cancel out because you're going to have, just like we saw, if you have the same thing on top and bottom, the same unit, inches up top, inches on bottom, those units can also cancel. In the same way that numbers can cancel, units can also cancel. That's a very interesting concept that I really do think you should know for the ASVAB because it is going to help you make those bigger conversions super easy. Super easy. And so with that said, bam, what this turns into. No, this is not a proportion. Or actually, well, 60 inches over blank feet equals 12 inches over 1 foot. Yes, that can be a proportion. Absolutely. That could absolutely be a proportion. And then you just cross multiply and divide. And yeah, you could absolutely do it as a proportion. It would take a slightly longer, maybe one extra step. But if that works for you, do it. So boom, we are going to end up having 60 feet over 12. 60 divided by 12 gives us 5 feet, and we're done. Boom. So is that making a little more sense for anybody out there in terms of converting units? Again, just whatever you're trying to get rid of, put it on bottom. Whatever you want to keep and get to the new unit, put it up top. Put it where you're not canceling. And you just have to know the conversion rate. 1 foot is 12 inches. And since you're starting at inches and you want to get rid of it, put inches at the bottom. 12 inches on bottom. And then boom, 1 foot up top. Yeah, Riona, you can also think about it that way too. Yep, 12 times 5 is going to give us 60. Yeah. So now I'm going to show you here the second method, the bigger to smaller method. And I want to see if this is still uncomfortable or maybe a little more comfortable for you. So if I start off with 60 inches, we're trying to go to feet. Here's how we would think of this, everybody. I would think of this as, hey, I'm trying to go from inches to feet. Everybody pay attention to the unit you're trying to get to. Everybody, is feet a bigger unit or a smaller unit than an inch? Is it a bigger unit or a smaller unit than an inch? Right, it is a bigger unit. And what did I say? I said if we're going to a bigger unit, then what are we going to do? Right. If we're going to a bigger unit, you need to make the groups. If you're trying to go from inches to feet, you got to group every 12 inches to make a foot. You got to group it together. You got to divide. And so because of that, boom, it's a bigger unit because Seth, if you grab a ruler, I wish I had my ruler right here. So this is not a full foot. This is just 6 inches. But Seth, 1 inch right here is smaller than a whole foot. Like that's the concept you need to get. And I need you to use some visualization or Google Images to look at the size differences of these units, not just with inches, feet, yards, and miles, but also with the other ones like time, seconds, minutes, hours, days, years. Because you just need to know the comparison, the relativity from one unit to the other. And so here we would divide to get 2 feet because we're going to a bigger unit, which means divide by 12. So 60 divided by 12, everybody, is what? Right. That's going to be 5. 5 feet, and we are good. And we are good. So let's go ahead and try this next one out here. Same thing. Let's try with that first method and that second method. Let's see what we got. So starting off 240 hours. Here we go. Everybody pop quiz time. If I'm doing the conversion rate multiplier, let's go ahead and ask ourselves, where am I going to put the 1 day? Top or bottom? Go. The 1 day, where am I putting it? Top or bottom? The 1 day goes up top. The 1 day goes up top because the 24 hours, you want it to cancel. Because it's up top here and bottom there, it will cancel. But if you had hours on top and then hours on top, that's hours times hours, hours squared. Hours divided by hours cancels out. But hours times hours, that's hours squared. That's not going away. That's not canceling out. You want to cancel it. Exactly. Now we're getting through those main ideas there. There we go. And so booyah, this gives us then 240 over 24. Everybody, 240 divided by 24 is what? And that's going to be 10 days. Booyah. And that's right, Seth. So Seth, just like you said, so if we're going into the second method, well then Seth, for you, what that would mean is this. We would say, hey, okay, we want to turn 240 hours. Okay. And that's going to be blank days. Days is the bigger unit, just like you said, Seth. That's correct. And so with that rule, going to a bigger unit, we divide because we do group every 24 hours. Divide 24. And so booyah, 240 divide 24. So going to a bigger means divide by 24. Excuse me there. And so what we have is 240 divided by 24. What is that going to give us, Seth? Hit us. And that right there will be 10 days. That's right. 10 days. And so it'll go either way, right? It'll work either way. It's just two different ways of thinking about it. One, the conversion rate over here, that's more of a pure mathematics kind of way. Straight up pure math. Now the one over here, this is more so of thinking about it intuitively, understanding grouping units together to make a bigger unit or breaking them apart to make the smaller ones, dividing versus multiplying. So I hope that one of these ways makes more sense to you, but I want to go ahead and kind of just probe you guys real quick. Do you guys prefer method one, the conversion rate, or do you prefer number two, the big small method? Which way do you prefer? Which way do you prefer? And look at the split. So note, this was worth teaching both ways. I hope that you guys realize that this is absolutely worth teaching both ways, because if you like both, if you understand both, that's amazing, because that's the goal. The goal is truly to understand both, because if you understand both, what that means for you is that, hey, guess what? Doesn't matter which way, you understand it completely, fully, you're well-rounded. And when it's time to apply this on the test, now you have two frames of reference to work with, two accurate frames of reference to make sure that you don't blank out. So the goal really is to get both down. But I want to know how many of them you have down so far. All right, cool. So with that, let's go ahead. Let's get into some more guided warm-ups. Now, I want to give you guys a chance here to try these out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these here for you. I'm going to set a timer, and I'm going to go ahead and reverse the connection and find this person who's been in this class for no reason at all and get them out of here. So I'm going to set up a 2-minute timer. Here is my stream timer. I'm going to go and get you up. There you go. And 2 minutes starting now. And I'm putting this timer up on the screen for you. Cool. Just give it your best. Go ahead and try whichever method you'd like. The conversion rate, the big, small method. Try it out and we'll come back together. And with 1 minute left here, let's go ahead and go through some hints for method number 2, the big small method. So if you're going 2 meters, is a meter bigger or smaller than a kilometer or a kilometer? Is a meter, 1 meter versus a kilometer, is a meter smaller than a kilometer or is a meter bigger than a kilometer? Which one is it? Yeah, it's smaller. A meter is about a yard. A kilometer is closer to a mile than it is a meter. So yeah, a meter is definitely the smaller unit. And so that should tell you exactly what to do in terms of the math. So time is up there. Let me go and bring my ugly face back into it. There it is. So let's go through this here. Let's really work to understand both ways if we can. So here we go. 3.2 kilometers equals how many meters? Well, the answer here is going to be what? It's going to be 3,200. That will be the answer. But let me show you instead how we will get there. So let's use both methods here. Let's use both methods. Number one, let's go ahead and go through the conversion rate. So starting at 3.2 kilometers, and I'm going to use km for short. Km is the same thing as kilometer. So we have 3.2 kilometers. And remember, everybody, the goal is to get rid of the old unit so that way we can replace it with the new. Everybody, which unit are we trying to get rid of? Which unit are we trying to get rid of? Yeah, we're trying to get rid of kilometers, right? So what does that mean we should put it so we can cancel it out? The top or the bottom? If we're trying to cancel it out, where should we put it? Yeah, we're trying to put it on the bottom if we're trying to cancel it out. That's right. So I see here that it says 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, excuse me. So I'll have that 1 kilometer right there. And then everybody, that means I'm going to put the 1,000 meters up top. Because once I do this, guess what? The kilometer right there and the kilometer right there. Bam, one's on top, one's on bottom, cancels out. And then going through the process, we see that all we're doing here is doing 3.2 times 1,000, that'll be meters. So that'll be 3.2 times 1,000, and that'll be in meters. Everybody, when you're multiplying by powers of 10, what's that rule? Like if you're multiplying by 10, move that decimal place 1 time to the right. 100, 2 times to the right. That's right, Seth. 1,000, 3 times to the right. Exactly. So Seth, you knew that, right on, man? So 3.2 times 1,000 would be 1, 2, 3. 3,200. Right there. And now lastly, going through it the second method, which is the bigger, smaller method, what you would have seen is this. You're going 2 meters. So it's going to be 3,200 after multiplying by 1,000. When you multiply by 1,000, you have 3 zeros in 1,000. You move the decimal place over 3 times to the right. So if it's 10 with 1 0, 1 time to the right, 100, 2 times, 1,000, 3 times, 10,000, 4 times, etc. But if we're going with the bigger, smaller method, everybody, from kilometers to meters, meters is smaller, so you're breaking up every kilometer into 1,000 meters. You're breaking up, you're making a bunch out of one. And so here we would multiply, and boom, 3.2. Since we're going bigger, it would be times 1,000. Multiplying because it's bigger. That's the main thing here. Knowing that if it's bigger, you're multiplying, or excuse me, smaller. That's my fault completely. Because we're going to a smaller unit. I'm trying to pay attention to 2 things at the same time here. Smaller unit, we're multiplying, and that conversion rate is 1,000. That's all good, yeah. And so boom, 3.2 times 1,000 would still be the 3,200. Now over here, 108 quarts. Let's take a look at this next one here. 108 quarts is how many gallons? Well, we have our conversion rate. 4 quarts is 1 gallon. We're going to use that to our advantage. So here we go, 108 quarts. All right, so if we want to go ahead and convert this, Everybody, well, we're trying to get rid of quarts here. So where am I supposed to put that? The 4 quarts that make up each gallon. 4 quarts where? Top or bottom? Yeah, it's gonna be in the bottom. It's gonna be in the bottom right here because we're trying to cancel it out. We're trying to get rid of the old unit to leave the new. So here, that would be 4 quarts on the bottom. Makes up 1 gallon. And so there. Booyah. So quarts are gone. And with that said, we will have 108 times 1, which is going to be 108. And then divide that by 4. And that's how many gallons you'll have. And so then 108 divided by 4 gives us 27. And we can learn that it's 27 through some long division if we needed to. And that's exactly what I'll do over here. 4 going into 108. 4 goes into 1, 0 times. 4 goes into 10, 2 times. Then we subtract the 8. Got the 2 left over with the 8. 4 goes into 28. That'll be 7 times right there. And so that's 27 gallons. And so there we have that, 27 gallons. Yep, and in this case, we would be dividing because from quarts to gallons, a gallon is bigger than a quart. So for every 4 quarts that you have, you get 1 gallon. You're grouping every 4 quarts. You're dividing by 4. Grouping every 4 quarts to make a gallon, dividing by 4. So let's go ahead and test out that confidence level one more time. How are we feeling? Are we feeling more confident, less confident, the same when it comes to unit conversions? And Glenn, we're using the different conversion factors or conversion rates for each conversion that we need to do. So for example, right over here, when we looked at all of these customary conversions and in the metric conversions, we're using each the conversion that we need for that situation. So for example, with the inches and feet, boom, we use this. For the pound and ounces problems, we use that one. When it came to the 4 quarts in a gallon, there it is right there. When we went through the 24 hours and days, right there. When we just went through this previous example, the quarts and gallons, that was right there. And then I do believe that we had the kilometers and meters right there. So it really just depends. Really depends on what the situation is. And you need to know what that number is. So this is one thing that you do need to memorize. And like I said, I did want you to take a picture of this in the beginning of class. And you still have the opportunity to take a picture here now, because we will be referring to this and using this all class long. But just remember to make sure to memorize this before you take the test, because you won't have it with you. Again, if you're in the program already, you're going to have access to all those flashcard sets for the unit conversions, all they're available to you. Absolutely, Angelica. I totally agree with you there. Like, if you don't know which unit might be bigger or smaller than the other, then guess what? Then you can use method 1 to always make sure you're setting it up properly, because the multiplication or division is going to show itself just by setting it up the right way. To cancel the old, to get the new, it'll show itself. But if you intuitively already know which one's bigger or smaller, then you can intuitively know which one is going to be multiplied or divided. It really depends on the situation and which direction you're going. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and keep building that confidence, my party people. Let's go ahead and keep building that confidence, man. So we're going to go ahead and use these conversion rates and these word problems coming up. Now, remember that whatever you're converting to, you're always going to leave it up top, because what you're converting from, canceling it out, that's what you're going to have to get rid of. So you want to cancel it out. Well, for sure, the guided worm was so much easier said, and then we get into that drywall punching, punch fest, right? I'm not even going to use the words I want to use because I know how y'all feel about them. But we're going to get into these word problems here. And so as a reminder, for those of you that are in the program, all of the unit conversion stuff actually is already up in the Arithmetic Reasoning Math Bootcamp. I just showed this in the beginning of class today. Remember, I updated it. So if you have been using the course within the past 10 hours today, just log out, log back in. Or if you're in the app, close the app and open it back up. That way you can see the changes reflect in your account. It was a free update for everybody. There are about 14 total units inside of the course now. It's complete. Everything is in there. And we're still going to be adding in on a periodic basis more word problem speed drills. So the speed drills that are going to be coming up next are going to be the ones starting for December's classes. So this is just a quick little announcement. In December, the first 2 weeks of December, we're going to be doing solving equations word problems for the first 2 weeks. So that's 4 total classes or 8 hours of that. So for those of you that are struggling, and you tell me if this sounds like you, do you struggle with setting up equations from word problems? Yes or no? Right? Setting up equations are pretty tough. Like, how do you know whether you're subtracting this number or multiplying those things or the variable goes where? We're going to take 4 whole classes to go through all of the different types of word problems that we can potentially set up. And as a promise to you, as a bonus, I'm going to be updating the program, the Arithmetic Reasoning Bootcamp, with speed drill word problem sets for solving equations. 1-step equations, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and 2-step equations that could have, mx plus b, mx minus b, starting from b, subtracting the mx, starting from b, adding the mx. All of that's going to be there. And if you don't know what that means, just know that every single type of word problem that you could see for solving equations will be in the Arithmetic Reasoning Bootcamp with a brand new whopping set. I'm going to limit it to an extra 1,500 questions. I could honestly create 70,000, but I don't want to overload the system like I did with the other course. So we're going to have those come out in just about 2 weeks. That will be our next update for the Arithmetic Reasoning Math Bootcamp. And so just to answer your questions here, for those of you that don't have the program, again, tonight's the last night to get our Cyber Monday discount. It's up to 40% off. So for the full year, instead of paying $247, you can actually only pay $147. And if you didn't know, other programs are actually charging like $200 a month. You can pay less than $150 and get the full year of mine. So that's going to be almost 300 hours of classes, all the courses, practice problems, practice tests, and updates for free. With the monthly subscription, it goes down from $47 to $37.60 per month. So I'm trying to make it super easy on y'all to make things easy to study and raise your score. Here is the link again in the chat box. If you're on YouTube watching us live, you can click the link in the description to take advantage of that. So there we go. So with that, let me go ahead and bring us over here. So here is our first word problem, my party people. I'm going to go ahead and just let y'all get after it. Here's the timer. It's 2 minutes. I don't care if you get an answer here. I just want to see if you can come up with a plan. So here's the timer starting now. And don't worry, this is the first question. I'm not going to leave you hanging to dry. I'm going to help you out all the way through. Try it out. I'll see you soon. Oh, and type ready when you're ready. Don't reveal the answer. Just type ready when you're ready. and 1, and that is time. All right, perfect. Sounds good. And then quick question. Hey, Dominic, are you on a secondary device by chance? Or are you only using one device? All right, perfecto. You're just using one? Okay. Well, that's wrong, Dominic. There's two Dominics. Oh, okay. You're using your phone to chat? Okay, sounds good. Because I'm going to go and replay this Zoom chat later, and I'm going to go and find the person who was just trolling us. Make sure I ban their IP address. Nice and easy. So with that, boom, let me get that timer out of the way, and let's get to work. So here we go. At a local market, peanuts cost $2 per ounce. Everybody, what cardinal rule for word problems did I just break? What word problem rule did I just break? Yeah, read the question, man. Read the question. We have got to do a better job of making sure we snap our attention to the question. So let's go straight to it. The question reads, not at a local market, but right here. How much does 4 pounds of peanuts cost? Or how much do 4 pounds of peanuts cost? Either way. So everybody, question, is it fair to say that what we're looking for is the cost of 4 pounds? Okay, great. That's what we want, right? Step one is first establishing what do we want. Then we establish what we have. And so this is where things are going to get pretty interesting because this is where we're going to be able to just sort through the information and make sense of it. So here it says in blue, at a local market, peanuts cost $2 per ounce. Okay, $2 per ounce. Now, here's one thing that a lot of people might do in this situation. A lot of first-time test takers might go look at this and say, oh, it costs $2 per ounce. I see $2 right there. Great. Per, I think I saw one of Coach's classes says, hey, $2 per ounce means you do the $2 times ounces and you got it. And a lot of y'all might be thinking, okay, cool. $2 per ounce. You're looking at 4 pounds. Who here is thinking that we got to multiply the $2 times the 4 pounds? Who thinks we got to do that? Who's thinking we got to do that? Not me. Hey, that's a good job for most of us, but let's make sure that those of us who did get confused for a brief moment, let's make sure we understand why we might be treading on making that mistake. Let me help you out here. So let's take a look here. Everyone, just go ahead and fill it in the chat box here. It says $2 per what? Right, ounces. $2 per ounce. What measurement were we given? For what? We were given pounds. We are not good to go. If you were thinking that you had to multiply, you're correct. You're absolutely correct. If you're thinking that step 3, if you're trying to find the total cost and it says $2 per ounce, well, $2 per ounce, what that means is $2 times the number of ounces. That's the total cost. Like that would be correct because the per is what gives it away. So right here, the $2 per ounce, $2 times the number of ounces, that is absolutely going to give you the total amount of money, the total cost. That will absolutely be correct. But the problem is you don't have the number of ounces yet. You got 4 pounds, so we have to convert that first. Yes or no, does that make sense? We have got to convert the pounds to ounces. Then we can multiply by the $2. Dominic, yeah, you would. Yeah, I'm setting up for that right now, but yeah, that's exactly what you would do. So great. So that's what we have to do, my party people. Let's make sure we do it the right way. Here we go. First, convert. So let me do this here in purple. So if we convert here, what we'll have is we'll have 4 pounds times We'll multiply by that conversion rate. Everybody, the hint's right there, but I'm not going to give it to you. Go ahead and type it out in the chat box, please. What's the conversion rate? How many pounds is how many ounces? What is it again? Let's see if you have it ready to go. Do you have that ready to go? Jalen, thank you. 1 pound, 16 ounces. Yep, that's it right there. Yep. Cool. Yeah, we got it. So, yep, let's write that down. We will have 16 ounces up here. And then 1 pound on bottom. Everybody, why did I set it up this way? It's one word. It's that C word. What's the one reason why I set it up like this and not pounds up top, ounces on bottom? Because we are trying to, that's right, Jonathan, we are trying to cancel. We are trying to cancel. Take a look at this right here. Pound up top, or pound on bottom and pound on top, that's gone. The LBS, that's pounds. It's the same thing. Same thing. LBS and pound is the same thing as pound. So those will cancel, giving you 4 times 16. 4 times 16 is what, everybody? 64 what? 64 what? Come on, we're getting lazy here. 64 what? 64 what? Ounces. Thank you. Equals 64 ounces. Come on, we got to be specific here, my party people. Got to be specific. But now that we got the 64 ounces, now we can finish this off. Because now we can go ahead and take care of business. The $2 times $2 times 64 ounces. How much money is that going to be, everybody? 2 times 64. That'll give us what? 128 total dollars. And there we have it. Boom. Answer choice D is correct. Anybody here get surprised that they actually got it right in their first try? Jackie, you divided accidentally, but now you know, right? You made that one slight mistake and you're like, oh, okay, we can go ahead and fix that, right? Opera is still lost. Hey, no worries. We're going to take care of the next problem. We're going to focus on one thing at a time here. Finally got this one after 10 tries, Montreal. Hey, that's good. And even if you got it wrong, were you able to spot the point at which you went wrong? Because it's not like you got it wrong and that means that nothing went right. A lot of the times you might be able to spot, hey, okay, cool. We want the total cost. I got that. Or maybe you tripped up on the actual unit conversion. You know, we want to spot where we make these mistakes because that's going to give us the opportunity to make that growth. You know, it's not a waste of time if you got it wrong. Juliana, how did I get the 16 ounces? So the way that I got the 16 ounces is the conversion rate. What we realized was that we needed ounces, not pounds, to multiply by. So we converted the pounds to ounces. The conversion rate is 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So right here, that's where the 16 came from, that conversion rate. So Juliana, let me know if that makes sense there. Leslie, you were confused because you accidentally multiplied the 16 by 4 and divided by 2 ounces. So here's the thing, Leslie. When you see the word per, it depends on where you see the word per. Like if you're trying to find each piece, you're dividing to get each. If you see the word per included and you're trying to get the grand total, you're moving forward, you're multiplying. And so there's a ton of practice that I have for you when it comes to like rate word problems and arithmetic problems that you can take a look at that go through tons of those examples to help you get used to which direction to go in. Yeah, Angelica, that's right. Rate times time. But in this case, there is no time really, right? All right, so with that, let's go and give this another one a shot. Let's give another one a shot, man. Let's dive on in. The world record for holding your breath. Let's try this one out. You got 2 minutes starting now. Let's try it out. Don't give up, man. One problem at a time, one day better, one at a time. And this is your PSA of the hour. Please make sure to check your work. Some of y'all are really excited. I'm happy that you're excited, but let's make sure that we're correct before we get excited. And that is time, my party people. That is time. What answers do you have? If you're confused, hey, so you're confused. If you are, if you got to a certain step and then you got lost, say what step that you got up to. For example, if you knew that you wanted to convert, but then you got confused in how to convert, hey, again, be honest as you can be about where you currently are with the problem. Because remember, as big as these classes might be with over 100 people, I don't care. I want to make sure that we can spot those points of success and then find that wall of struggle. Because once we can identify what that wall is made out of, then we can blow it up. We can blow anything up. So as long as we know what it's made out of, we can blow it up. So here we go. Let's go ahead and start here. Everybody, quick question. If you wanted to be as clear as possible to yourself and to your friends or to anybody who's trying to do this problem with you, what would you tell them you're trying to accomplish in this problem? What's the goal? 1 word, 2 words, 3 words. Keep it as short as possible, but in a way that makes sense. What are you looking for? So in 1 word, I think a lot of you are saying seconds, right? A lot of you saying seconds in 3 words, convert to seconds, right? Convert to seconds. So remember, everybody, before you get hung up on being confused and being stuck and being frustrated, let's again do what we can to get where we can. Right here, how many seconds is this? So before I continue, everybody, does it make sense that we want the total number of seconds? All right? Yep, that's step 1. We want total seconds. We want to know how many seconds that 22 minutes, 22 seconds is. Because it says it right here. It says the world record for holding your breath underwater is 22 minutes and 22 seconds. That's a true world record. Look it up. It's absolutely incredible. Don't know how that guy didn't die. But yeah, 22 minutes and 22 seconds. Okay, that's the information that we have. Write that down. Okay, Ray, quick question. Do we have to convert this part right here? Nah, we don't have to, right? It's already in seconds. It's already in seconds. The only thing we have to convert is this. We just have to convert that to seconds. That's it. Yeah. And then for the 22 seconds, we'll bring this back later. We will bring this back later. Yeah, we definitely need to remember this. And I designed the answer choices here to trick you. If you picked answer choice C, well, I may or may not have tricked you. Or excuse me, it should have been, well, one of these two. If you picked A or C, I tricked you. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's look at the process here. The 22 minutes, we'll convert that into seconds. The 22 seconds, that's already there. That's already 22 seconds. We keep that there. We'll bring it back at the end. Here we go. Can someone remind me, please, of the conversion rate? Because I'm trying to convert 22 minutes into seconds, but I need to know my conversion rate, right? 1 minute equals 60 seconds. Thank you. And so where am I going to put the 1 minute, the 60 seconds? Can someone write it as a fraction for me, please? Someone go ahead, write it as a fraction for me. The 1 minute on the bottom, the 60 on the top. That does make sense because you're trying to get rid of minutes. So you'll have the 1 minute on the bottom here. and the 60 seconds up top. Hey, no worries, Zoom user, no worries at all. So boom, 22 minutes times 60 over 1. Guess what that's going to be? That's going to be 22 times 60. The minutes are going to cancel out, leaving you with just seconds. So here we go. What's 60 times 22? Well, 0 times 2 is going to be 0. 6 times 2 is going to be 12. Then we bring a 0 down. 0 times 2 is going to be 0. 6 times 2 is going to be 12. Add that all back. 0, 2, 3, 1. 1,320. So before I continue, does everybody here understand how we got the 1320, the 1,320? Do we understand how we got there? Now, for those of us that picked 1,320, do you understand why that answer is wrong? Do you understand why that answer is wrong? Yeah, I see a lot of us here saying, yeah, we have to add the 22 seconds back. Exactly, because we have to bring that right there. We have got to bring it back. We have got to bring it back. So plus the 22 seconds that we had before, already there. Exactly. And so 1,320 plus 22 equals 1,342 total seconds. And there we have it. And with patience, again, with planning and patience, we can see what that one little thing might have been that we had to do extra. So for those of us that got it wrong, do we understand why we were wrong? For those of us that got it wrong, do we understand why we were wrong? You've seen this on the ASVAB, not the same, but the same idea. Exactly. You're going to see the same exact ideas. You're going to see problems that have you measure out packages that weigh 1 pound and 7 ounces, and it costs this much per ounce. They might even throw you off by saying, hey, the first 5 ounces are only $1, and then this much on top of that. You have got to be able to sort through the information of the problem to understand the logic that they're using. You've got to make sure that that makes sense in that way. I'm not sure what you mean by adding the tens place. If we need to review multiplication, the long multiplication here, if that's what you're discussing, Seth, that's just long multiplication. This 0 right here comes in when you look at the tens place. That's rules of long multiplication. Definitely want you to get that practice in with that for sure. All right, so who here is ready for the next problem? Who is ready for more, man? Let's keep having fun. Remember, guys, always start with the question, okay? I can't say it enough. Always, always, always start with the question. That way you can give yourself the opportunity to go ahead and look at the information and see what is needed to be done. I think, okay, great, yeah. So there's one thing that I actually do want to do here, and it's this one. Go ahead, try this out. There's 4 of them. I'm going to give you the 2 minutes. We're going to come right back in 2 minutes and review this. But this last one is the one that I really want you to pay attention to. This is converting a rate, steps per minute. This is the hardest one. Do not feel bad if you can't do it. Bonus points if you can, but don't feel bad if you can't do it. I want to walk you through that one for sure. Let's go. And Seth, I'm looking at your question now here. You're saying, oh no, I just added, 1,320 by 22. Yeah, you just line it up. The 0 and the 2 get added, and then the 2 and the 2 get added. Looking at our final 10 seconds here. And time, my party people. There we go. So how many of these were you able to get through? All four? Three of them? One of them? How are we doing there, man? This is going to be a pretty interesting problem to look at for the simple reason being that honestly, it's gonna seem like the last one is pretty crazy. But if you stick to the rules that we've been learning, it's going to be the same stuff, guys. Seriously, it's going to be the same stuff, super straightforward. It's not going to be something crazy that's impossible. So let's go ahead and bring my face back in here before I forget. And let's get into it, man. Let's have some fun. So, boom, there we go. All right, so let's hear 3.5 pounds equals how many ounces? Long story short, everybody, what you need to know is your conversion rate, and that's it. You need your conversion rate, and then just pick which method you want to use. Using the fraction to cancel it out, or bigger, smaller. So let's get into it here. Number one, 3.5 ounces. Let me go ahead and actually make some more space for myself. And let's go ahead and get to work. So 3.5 pounds. I'm trying to get to ounces. Let's zoom on in just a little bit here. So if I want to get this done, everybody, guess what, man? Guess what? Let's multiply by the conversion rate. First of all, I need to know what that conversion rate is. Everybody, how many pounds equals how many ounces? What is that going to be, man? Help me out. Write it out, write it out, write it out. Write the whole thing out. Write the whole equation out. Jalen, I knew you can count on you right there. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. Okay. And so what we want to ask ourselves is this. I want to go from pounds to ounces. So I need to get rid of pounds. Pounds is currently on top. So I will put the 1 pound where? I'm going to put the 1 pound on the bottom. Because again, I'm trying to cancel these out. And then the 16 ounces, I'll put up top. And again, if you're looking at it from the perspective of the bigger, smaller, look at this. We're trying to end up at ounces right over here. We're trying to end up at ounces from pounds. We're going from a bigger to a smaller. Everybody, we're going to a smaller unit in ounces. What operation is that when you're going to a smaller unit? Multiplication or division. When you're going to a smaller unit, yeah, you're breaking it up into a bunch of smaller pieces. That would be multiplication there. So in either way, either case, notice how it would be 3.5 times 16 there. But if you're thinking bigger, smaller, it's still multiplication either way. Both would make sense either way. But we had to make sure we get at least one of them down. At least one of them down. Because now the only tough part is going to be, what's 3.5 multiplied by 16? What's 3.5 multiplied by 16? Let's get the job done here. So what's the rule with decimals? Remember, everybody, the rule with decimals is ignore the decimals. And then what do we do at the end? Yeah, exactly. Bring them back at the end. Bring back at the end. That's right. And so there we are, 3.5 multiplied by 16, 5 times 6. Let's start it off here. That's going to give us 30. Carry the 3. 3 times 6, that's going to give us 18. Carry the 3, that's going to be 21. So next row here, we're going to go ahead and have drop a 0 because now we're going with the 1 now. 5 times 1, that's going to be 5. 3 times 1, that's going to be 3. Then we add these up. We'll have 0, 6, and 5. How many decimal places are we bringing back, everybody? Just one. Just one here, because that'll just be right there, boom, and that'll be 56. It's 56 what, everybody? 56 ounces. That's right. 56 ounces. And there's our answer. Boom. Yes or no, does that make sense? If you're using the bigger, smaller method, it'd be multiplication because you're going to a smaller unit. If you're using the conversion rate, you would be multiplying because the 16 ounces would be up top because you're staying with ounces. Okay, great. That's number one. Number one is going to be 56 ounces. 12 yards equals how many inches? This one was a confusing one for some folks, and I can tell you why right now. It's going to be a confusing one because for some people don't know the exact conversion between yards and inches. A lot of us know yards to feet and feet to inches, but what about straightforward from yards to inches? Not everybody may know that, right? So let me go ahead and give you the answer. I'm going to show you how we're going to get there. Okay, that's going to be, let's see, 360 plus 72, so that'll be 432. Did somebody here get 432 for the second one? 432, that is correct. 432 inches. That was some quick mental math, just making sure you check my work. Appreciate y'all. Let me show you how to get there, okay? Let me show you how to get there. So everyone, quick question. There's two ways we can really look at this. One is knowing the direct conversion rate. So here, 12 yards times what gives you the number of inches. Let me just set this up right here. And so here's the conversion rate from yards to inches, everybody. 1 yard equals 36 inches. Okay? 1 yard equals 36 inches. If you didn't know that, let me help make some sense out of that for you. Really quick. It's actually super straightforward. It's a pretty sincere idea. So here's the idea, everybody. 1 foot is 12 inches, right? Yes, I am a math coach. So yeah, 1 foot is 12 inches, right? Yeah, 1 foot's 12 inches. Okay. How many feet is a yard again? How many? Right, 3 feet is a yard. So if you needed help understanding how 1 yard is 36 inches, let me show you over here. Just think about it casually. If I know that if I can get to 3 feet, that's going to be the same thing as 1 yard. Well, watch this. Everybody, if 1 foot is 12 inches, how many inches is 2 feet? Double up. What do you get there? 2 of them will be 24, right? Because 12 is 1. 24 will be 2 if you double up. And then what about 3? If you did another 12 inches for 3 feet, what would that be? 36 inches. And so even if you didn't know the conversion rate, you could know it. You could know it. 1 yard is 36 inches because 3 feet is the same thing as 36 inches in 1 yard. Seth, you can work up to that, man. You can absolutely work up to the math part. That's just practice. That is really just practice. I want you to focus on the understanding here. But everybody, yes or no, does that make sense here? 36 inches is 1 yard. May the math gods be with you. Guys kill me. So yeah, 1 yard is 36 inches. Booyah, right there. We're good. We're good, man. So now let's just figure out what we're going to multiply and where. Can somebody, yes, feet and foot, same thing. Can someone here tell me what's the fraction going to be? 1 yard over 36 inches, 36 inches over 1 yard. What's it going to be? Yeah, 36 over 1. Thank you. 36 inches over 1 yard. 36 inches over 1 yard. And guess what? Cancels out with the yard, leaves you with the inches. And now you know that you're doing 12 times 36. Booyah. And now it's just doing the math. Now it's just doing the math. 36 times 12. 6 times 2 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6. Carry the 1 is 7. 6 times 1 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Add these together. 2, 13, 4. 432 inches. And we're done. And so, yeah, if it was a calculation error, hey, we can live with that. We got to make sure we work on it, obviously. But if you have the procedure down and the reasoning down, that's really what we want. We can be proud of that. We can absolutely be proud of that. Now, coming up here, the next one, 64 quarts equals how many gallons? Here, we had to divide by 4. 64 divided by 4. That's the same thing as dividing by 2 twice. 64 to 32, 32 to 16. Answer is 16 gallons. So that one was just a simple division by 4. The way we would have gotten there, 64 quarts times 1 gallon per 4 quarts to cancel that out. So divide by 4. But it's this last one I really want to get to. Who here is confident? Like, how are you feeling about this last one, everybody? Are we confident about this last one? Are we scared of this last one? Or are we saying, Coach Jesus, I don't know what to do, man? How are you feeling? Feeling pretty confident? Easy? Okay. Didn't make it on time. Heck no. All you do is the 60 times 5. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. We got it. Let's take a look. Let me go ahead and just take all of this here and just move it on down for a brief moment. Let me give me the space that I need to use to work on this. So 5 steps per minute. So here's what this looks like, everybody. When you look at the steps per minute, let me make sure you know what that actually means. 5 steps per minute looks like this. That's what 5 steps per minute looks like. Like, that's what that's supposed to look like. Steps per minute is steps over minute. And so if you want to turn this into steps per hour, let me show you how you can convert a rate, because this is a rate. The per minute, that is a rate. And so here's what you got to do. What you got to do here, let me go ahead and put this right over there. Sorry, that was something I could not ignore. Cool. All right. So what we want to do here is understand that we are trying to get to blank steps per hour. So this is something that I want you to understand how to do, because if you can understand how to do this, this means that you're truly starting to grasp the concept of unit conversions. So check this out, my party people. We have steps per minute. We're trying to go to steps per hour. Everybody, what unit are we looking at here that we're trying to get rid of? Which unit are we trying to get rid of? Okay, if minute is what we're trying to get rid of, ask yourself, where is it currently? Is it on the bottom or the top? Where is it currently? Yeah, it's currently on the bottom. So that means that if we wanted to cancel it out, we would need to put minutes where? Yeah, you guys are starting to get it. You see the cancellation that we're trying to do. We're trying to get rid of minutes, and because minutes is currently on bottom, and we would have to have minutes on top. And just as a reminder, 1 hour, equals how many minutes? Thanks for reminding me. Appreciate that. Sweet. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and multiply this here. And we're going to have right here 60 minutes up top, actually, and 1 hour on the bottom. Look at that. Because what's going to happen right here? Cancels out. And we're left with the hour on the bottom. Notice how it's going to be steps per hour, steps per hour. So before we even do the math, everybody, do you see how that makes sense? How we have, again, steps on top per hour on bottom, steps per hour. That's what we wanted. And we got rid of the minutes that was on the bottom by putting the minutes on the top. Now, of course, if we're still kind of in that that fundamental phase, trying to get through the basics of converting units, then this might be a little too out there. But if you have that main idea down, cancel out to leave the new, then this makes sense because you see the minute on the bottom and you want to put it up top to cancel, because now what you see is 5 times 60. 5 times 60 is what, everybody? 300, and we're good. So 5 steps every minute is 300 steps in 1 hour. And that should make sense that we're multiplying, because if you think of it, if we do 5 steps every minute, 1 minute, that's 5, 2 minutes, 10, 3 minutes, 15, 4 minutes, 20. You're multiplying. You're getting bigger. You're getting bigger. So that means that's 60 minutes in an hour. 5 times 60, 300 steps in an hour. 300 steps in an hour. So it really, again, it's going to take a little time to really get used to these ideas. But I'm telling you guys, like, it's truly going to boil down to practice. It truly does boil down to practice. Now, if you guys give me a big yurt, we might be able to get one more problem in. Who wants to try one more? One more word problem. All right, sounds good. We'll get one more word problem in. I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to take a screenshot here. Go ahead and take a screenshot if you'd like to. That way we can have this ready to go for your notes, and then we'll go into this last problem and we'll call it an evening. I'm going to put up the Cyber Monday picture one more time. I know a couple of you guys were blasting me on the phone trying to sign up. So I will get to those texts after class / first thing in the morning. And if I need to go ahead and extend the discount code until first thing tomorrow morning for anybody, I will. Don't worry. I just do have to leave promptly by 8:05. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to this last problem. Let's time it out and let's try it out, man. Here we go. Go. All right, looking at our final 10 seconds. Looking at the final 10 seconds here. And time is up. What do we have? What do we have? What do we got, my party people? Let's see. Let me bring the face back in. Timer's off. All right, let's get into this last problem here. And let's really see again how we can apply unit conversions to these problems here. So how much would it cost to purchase 2 feet of steel wire? So 2 feet of steel wire, if it costs 25 cents per inch. So look right here. Immediately, my party people, if we want the cost, and the cost is 25 cents per inch, here's what this means. We want total cost We want total cost. And what that means is if we have 25 cents per inch, what this means here is means multiply by the inches. But the problem is what, my party people? Do we have the number of inches? Do we have the number of inches? No, we do not. We have 2 feet. So can you please tell me, what do we need to do? Right. We just have to convert. We just have to convert. And so this is that moment that I'm going to bring everything full circle for a second. Do you remember how in the beginning of class I told you that unit conversion word problems are really just regular word problems with one extra step? Is that starting to make sense to you now? Is that starting to make sense? Like, that's truly what it was. Like if you had the number of inches, that'd be a quick multiplication problem. That'd be 0.25 times the number of inches and you're done. But it just so happened to be that they gave you a different unit. And all you have to do is convert. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Kira, I'm glad you're having fun. And so with that, let's go ahead and convert and have a good time. 2 feet should be a pretty easy conversion. You might not have to think about that. How many inches is 24 feet or 2 feet, everybody? 24, right? I gave it away myself. Yeah, so that would be 24 inches. That's 2 feet. So that's right. That's super easy. And so boom, 2 feet, that equals 24 inches. We should be able to do that fairly quickly in our heads. And so bam. So times inches, that's times 24 inches. And so you're done. 0.25 times 24. Another way that you could look at this is like this, everybody. Isn't 25 cents 1/4, everybody? Isn't that a quarter? Yeah. And so multiplying by 0.25 is the same thing as dividing by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. And the answer is $6. And you're done. But if you didn't know that, we can go ahead and do the math here. It's all good. No need to be in a rush. 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8. Carry the 2 is 10. Next, bring a 0 down. Then we have 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4. Carry the 1 is 5. Add these together and we have 0, 0, 6. And then how many decimal places are we supposed to bring back, everybody? 2. 2 decimal places. 1, 2, 1, 2. And we have $6 for the steel wire. And there we are. And there we are. So it was a good class. It was a good rough one because, as always, when it comes to these tricky ideas, decimals, fractions, percents, conversions, negative numbers, we always have that rough patch in the beginning, and then we always bring it back together at the end once we have truly settled into the idea. Yeah, this is how it really goes on, and I'm glad that those of you that stuck through it, y'all are the ones that are going to make that progress, and you're going to be happy and on top of the world at the end of the day. So I'm truly proud of you guys for those of you who stuck through it, because now this recording is going to be up in YouTube, and it's also going to be up for the program members. But we have our last part 4, tomorrow. So with part 4 tomorrow, we're going to be expanding on this, doing some more word problems. We're going to be including those square and cubic units, so area and volume conversion rates. And on top of that, I'm going to make about 2 to 5 new word problems that we're going to try out in class as well. So with that said, my party people, I know it's already 8:02. We are over time. So remember, if you're in the program, I'm going to send you the link, the text, and the email tomorrow at 4 p.m. for tomorrow's class. Same time, 2 hours, and you get the recording. But remember, I updated the Arithmetic Reasoning Math Bootcamp. So a previous recording of this same class is already in there, along with all the all of the feet and inches conversions, the speed drills, the practice sets, the worksheets. All of that is all lined up for you in your brand new updated Arithmetic Reasoning Math Bootcamp. And so booyah, it's all there. And for those of you that are not in the program, I'm going to go over it just one more time for you. That way you have it going on. But again, if you are in the program, if you want to just shout out the program in the chat box, if you like it, say you like it. If you hate it and it sucks, say you hate it and it sucks. But for those of you that don't have the program and want to take advantage of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, again, tonight is the last night to claim the deal. It's a massive 40% off. So I'm going to go ahead and put this right up here. And essentially, you're going to get all the classes, recordings, the ability to text me when you need help, all the practice problems you need, flashcard sets, study guides, guided practice, literally any way that you like to learn, you can learn. And that's what, this has been 3 years of work, and we're continuing to put in the work to make sure that this is the #1 ASVAB program and stays the #1 ASVAB program in America. So with that said, my party people, you can go ahead and sign up and save big. Again, today is the last night for the Black Friday sale. So here is the link in the chat box. I got to go ahead and hop off here in a moment. But if you have any questions on it, and if you're not too sure about tonight, I will go ahead and extend it for a few more hours tomorrow morning if need be. I don't want you to rush the decision. I know the program works. I've created it, and I've helped over 1,000 students pass. And so I know that it's going to work. I don't want you to rush the decision. I don't want you to think that it's some magic pill. You do have to sit down and put in the work. I just make sure that everything is lined up for you so that way you don't have to put any effort into thinking about what to do. All you got to do is do it. So there it is, my party people. You guys are awesome. You guys have a great evening. There's the link one more time. And the coupon code is BF22, Black Friday 22, BF22 right there at checkout. And you get a whopping 40% off, $100 off the full year, or 20% off the monthly subscription. Again, if you are a program member already and you want to upgrade to the full year, please hit me up. I can give you a nice discount to upgrade to the full year on top of what we're already offering. So see you tomorrow, my party people. You guys stay awesome. I'm Coach Anderson. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. My phone number here is 567. Let me write this down for you. 567-698-8867. That is my phone number right there, my party people. Reach out to me if you have any questions at all whatsoever. I'm here to help you succeed. And so with that said, sign up, save big, let's raise those scores, and I'll see you in tomorrow's class. Let's ace the ASVAB. See you guys. And my YouTube party people, you guys stay awesome. You guys, again, reach out to me if you have any questions at all. There's my phone number again, 567-698-8867. Feel free to give the channel a subscribe and like this video and comment your favorite part. That way, more people like you can find free ASVAB help if they need to. And again, the link to the full program is in the description of this video. It's also in the live chat. I'll put it in there one more time for you. And boom, there you go. So go ahead, join us, and let's have fun, man. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Let's ace the ASVAB. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for coming.